This show is a proud member of the Blue Collar Roots Network and is created for professionals and people who know what they're doing already. The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the network or the sponsors. Do everything according to government regulations, OSHA safety practices, and manufacturer listing and labeling instructions. Not just because someone said so on a podcast. Now, on with the show.
You're listening to the Tool Pros Podcast. Depending on whether you grew up in the North or in the South, your opinion may be different on a lot of things. But if you're a tradesman, the one thing you can always agree on is tools are awesome. And now your hosts, Brent Ridley and Billy Noth.
Hello and welcome to the Tool Pros Podcast. This is your host, as always, Brent Ridley, sitting virtually next to my co-host, Billy Noth. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing good, Brent.
It's good to hear you, brother. Good talking to you. I'm glad you're here. I'm excited for this episode. It's going to be great.
Yeah, me too.
Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about KC Tools. Guys, go check out kctoolco.com. They sell some of the best German hand tools on the market. Not only German hand tools, but I think like Czech Republic, all kind of different European style hand tools out there. These are some of the best made in the world. But KC Tool is located in Kansas City, straight out of America, so you can still buy those brands and support a American brand also by supporting KC Tools. It's a win-win there, guys. So go check them out, kctool.com. Use the discount code TOOLPROS for 10% off. All right, now that we got that taken care of, got the bills paid a little bit, let's introduce our two guests here. They don't really need an introduction. They're awesome guys. The guys from HVAC Shop Talk, Ralph and Zack. Ralph, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm great. Brent, how about yourself?
Oh, doing good, brother. Doing good. Thank you for coming on. And Zack Ciota, how you doing, Zack?
I'm even better than Ralph is doing.
Man, get out of here.
Ralph probably won some money at the casino the other day, so he's probably doing pretty good.
No, I lost money at the casino. Actually, I didn't. I just used a bunch of their free money.
Well, you got to be at the casino without working, so being in the field, not that you don't work.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Are
hey,
you
I
kidding
work
me?
mentally now.
Are you kidding me? Ralph can be at the casino and still be technically on call. So you can hear in the background, you can hear cha-ching, cha-ching as you're asking tech support questions.
Yep.
Oh, that's a great life. That is a great life right there, guys.
Yes, indeed.
When you're on call with your phone, you can be anywhere in the country.
When I grow up, I want to be like Ralph.
Yes, me too.
We all do.
Well, guys, I guess the topic today is HVAC tool preparation for like the cooling season. Because here it is, middle of March. We're creeping up on that cooling season pretty soon here. Next month or two, we'll be full blown into it. Just want to take a minute and focus on what we need to do to get ready for that. Billy, what kind of things do you do to kind of get ready for that cooling season and kind of gear up for it?
I think one of the first things I'm going to have to do is actually get my snow removal equipment out of my truck because we keep getting pounded by snow, which is just annoying.
So do you have to keep that in your truck, like to get out of your driveway and stuff? Or like, why is it in your truck? I'm curious of this.
Yeah, basically, so I can get out of the driveway, so I can get out of other people's driveways and parking lots every now and again when you get stuck at a commercial space and you get snowed in pretty quick. So sometimes you slip and slide and whatnot.
I kind of wondered, like, how about that work? Like, if you go to a customer's house who hasn't, like, plowed their driveway or their walkway or anything, you just kind of trek through it or kind of deal with it, or how's that work?
Yeah, kind of track through it and do as best you can. For the most part, I mean, if the roads are bad enough, I tend to wuss out and I'll stay home. But for the most part, you'll go to customers' houses and nothing will be shoveled or plowed or anything, and you just kind of trudge through it and just take it as it goes.
Do you charge them double for that?
No, we probably should, but no.
I've always wanted to know, do you carry any salt on your truck?
I do. I carry a little bit, and I go back and forth between the salt, and sometimes I'll just have a bag of sand just so I can throw it down and get some traction if it's kind of icy and whatnot. But always have a shovel, and because sometimes you'll slip, slide, and I've slid off to the side of the road and gotten stuck. You do what you got to do. And we don't deal with a lot of snow, but when it does, we usually get pounded pretty good, 6 inches to a foot pretty fast.
Man, what a life you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, a foot, that's like 5 years here.
I know. They closed down Wilmington for like an inch.
It doesn't take an inch. We have a 30 flake threshold. At the 30 flake threshold, the government shuts down. the National Guard is called in, and the children are put into bomb shelters.
And all the milk and bread is gone.
Yeah, all the milk and bread and water is gone. And then people just have a bunch of wasted milk about a week later.
You got to make those bread milk sandwiches.
That sounds disgusting.
That does sound disgusting.
If you don't have ketchup, I guess.
Yeah.
Billy, so I guess what you're saying here, so you're taking off some of your winter stuff and getting ready for the cooling season. So besides like the shoveling equipment, is there any other tools that you physically take off of your truck for the wintertime?
I used to take off like my combustion analysis stuff just so it's not banging around the truck all summer long because it really didn't use it at that point. But the company I'm with now, we do a lot of boiler work and hot water heaters and stuff. And even though the boilers are the heating end of it, but some of them have domestic coils in them and whatnot. So I tend to keep it on just so if there's anything that's oddball, any of those weird calls that I could be doing a boiler maintenance and then the AC maintenance all in the same house, especially coming into the season, they start the AC stuff pretty early from what I'm told. This is just my second summer getting into them. And I was already into the summer last year when I started with this company. So I don't know how that transition happens. And apparently it happens pretty fast and early. I would like it to be a little bit later.
Yeah, some of these companies have so many maintenance contracts that they have to start getting to them in middle of March, early March, like at this time right now. I don't know how I feel about starting to do an air conditioning maintenance at this time of the year. I don't feel like you could check it properly because there's no load on the system or anything like that. What do you think, Zach, Ralph?
Well, I know one of the biggest companies here in Atlanta are doing their cooling maintenances right now.
Well, maybe they're using those filled piece blanket things.
There you go.
No, they're pretty much putting their gauges on the unit, making sure it has Freon in it, and that's about as far as they go with it.
As long as it has some kind of standing pressure, it's good to go, huh?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question then. If you're doing a bad job, you can really do it any time of year you want to do it.
I guess so.
I have to wait till it's like April.
You brought up a good point, Zach, about the charging jacket. I wonder if that would become very useful at this time of the year, trying to check charge and things like that. I've done the old trick where you cut down the cardboard box and you cover the coil and everything to raise the head pressure, but I don't feel like that's a common practice that's happening out there very often.
Yeah, I tell you what I do, Brent. I used to wear like 3 or 4 shirts if it was very cold, and if I had to charge something up or if I was commissioning a system, I would take 3 of those shirts off and put them on the outside of the condenser and let the condenser suck them up against it, and that's how I'd raise the head pressure.
Hey, that works, absolutely. That's a great way to do it. Now, Zach and Ralph, when you guys were in the field, were there any tools that you guys physically took off of the truck for the summertime, like winter-style tools that you took off the truck, or pretty much kept them on there all year round?
I always kept the same tools on the truck year-round because of dealing with heat pumps. And you know as well as I do, we have a fair amount of heat pumps around here. We're always having to mess with the gauges and that kind of crazy stuff.
Well, I took the Testo 320 off the truck, and I had 2 toolboxes I took off the truck. One of them was for the 2 oil furnaces I work on. Just had a few tools in them for those. And one of them had like gas fittings, like black iron pipe and stuff. I took those off during the summertime.
That makes sense. Definitely if you did like oil-fired furnaces and things like that, I could see wanting to get that off the truck because not only do you have extra tools on there that are kind of could be in the way, but a lot of that oil stuff gets nasty from what I understand. It's just nasty and gross and filthy, and it's just, you don't even have the risk of rubbing up against it and get yourself dirty when it's off the truck.
Hell
Yeah.
yes, it's horrible.
Yep.
I never took any of the stuff off the truck for like wintertime, just simply because I didn't know when I was going to need it again or go to a job that I needed to check something for heat and I didn't have that tool on the truck.
I'm with you. I haven't taken any tools off the truck no matter what season it is. I kind of keep the same tool on the truck all year round, combustion analyzer and everything, because we do a lot of tankless water heaters, a lot of things like that. So I know I'll need my combustion analyzer during the summertime at some point. Personally, on the springtime, I take it as a time to go through all my tools and to change out all the batteries and all my digital tools, stuff like that. Do you guys have a time of year where you did that kind of maintenance on your tools?
Yeah, when the battery ran out. I'm cheap, man. I don't care. I'll let that sucker go as long as I can.
I'm the same way. I'll let it die.
Okay, well, I got a question to you fellas. So what about those tools that you don't use that often? So are you going to let it just sit there and the batteries leak acid in them or what?
Well, I tell you what, my M500, I was really surprised that C battery lasted as long as it did. It seemed like it lasted for years.
That's you talking about the Subco megometer?
Yeah, it seemed like it lasted for years.
Shame on you, Ralph.
I can't help it.
Shame.
I carry around, like, on my truck, I got a few vacuum gauges or micron gauges, whatever you want to call them. I have a few of them. I got the blue vac, and then I have a yellow jacket one, and I actually have one more. I think it's a CPS. I carry around 3 just in case one of them breaks. I don't know why I have 3. I should probably just keep it down to 2, but just in case one of them breaks, I have an extra there. But that backup I may not use for years, and I'd be afraid it's going to leak battery acid in there or something that's going to ruin the tool.
No, I agree with that. Hey, you mentioned the CPS. How do you like that micron gauge?
I don't.
You don't really like it?
Not very much. I used it for a good while before I got into the blue vacs, but honestly, once you start using the blue vac style, it's really hard to go backwards. It really is. The blue vac style micron gauges are the best on the market, in my opinion.
Well, let's say you never use the blue vac. What would your feeling be about the CPS?
You can't unsee what you've seen.
Come on, play along with me, Brent.
Wow,
Play along
the
with
blue
me.
back sure is special.
It is.
It must be.
You hear that, Dennis? I hope Dennis is out there listening. We're trying to bait Dennis to come in on the podcast here in the next few weeks. So, hint, hint, blue vac's great. The CPS is a nice gauge. I don't think it's a bad micron gauge. I think it's a nice micron gauge. But like I said, it just doesn't have the features like the blue vac does. I've really gotten used to looking at the leak rate. The leak rate is a really nice feature, especially when you're doing a vacuum and you valve off and you're watching the rise, or as Ralph's favorite word, the decay in the vacuum. The feature's great. That's what's got me spoiled with the blue vac.
Oh, yeah, that is my favorite word, decay.
That's a new word.
It is a new word.
Jim Bergman, I think, made that term up, I believe it.
I think he did, because all these years in the field, I never heard vacuum decay until just recently.
That's the way I learned it when I was in school, was vacuum decay.
Oh, you learned the word decay back in the day.
That's the thing there. He said school.
Right.
I went to school, though.
None of us went to school for it.
No, I did. I did.
What year did you go to school, Ralph? Were they even pulling vacuums back then?
No, we were still purging with R22 at that time. Believe it or not, that's before 410 came out.
Yeah. That's not too bad, man. I was out before 410 came out.
I was out in the field doing before 410. 410 didn't come prevalent till around 2000 or so, maybe.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever saw a 410 unit. I was like, dude, you're going to have to call somebody else.
Oh, man, the fear. I can't mix this with my R22 gauges. They'll explode.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard that. You know what I mean? I just knew that I didn't want to mess with 410 at that time because I didn't know anything about it. Definitely didn't have any on the truck. I don't even think my gauges did 410.
I think 410A came out as carrier only, right? Is that how it came out first?
People don't realize this, but Daikin and Carrier actually teamed up to make 410. So yeah, it was a Daikin deal and a Carrier deal.
So in Daikin mini splits and stuff?
Yeah, but they weren't here. They weren't really here in the United States. So everybody just said, okay, it's Carrier. It was Puron.
We had gone to a class early on in it. None of the supply houses would sell it to anybody unless you took a training course for it. And we went to just another company that was hosting it, and they had the manufacturer come in, and the way that it was described, it almost sounded like if you mix the oils together, it's going to create an acid and your gauges are just going to melt in front of you. Like, that's how bad they made it sound. And I'm like, that seems a little crazy, but when you think about it nowadays, and it's just so different.
I believe some of these guys really thought that. I don't think it was intentional misinformation. I just believe there wasn't enough information about the little bit of mixture that was happening in the field, that there was really just that fear that it was going to happen.
I agree.
No, guys still think that.
No, you're right. They do. There's still that fear out there about that stuff. Now, what about the little gaskets in your hoses, guys? Do you change those, or do you throw the hoses away and get you a new set of hoses every year? What do you do with those?
Hell no. We changed those. I changed those.
I used to throw mine out and get new sets.
Yeah, I would get new sets of hoses usually every season. And then if for whatever reason the gaskets did get toast, I did have a set that I could pop the new gaskets in. But generally, usually every season I would get. But now with the smart probes and the field piece probes and everything else, it's definitely have to have the gaskets because there are no hoses.
Sure.
And those little gaskets get chewed up.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really bad for those gaskets.
The gaskets are nice. I used to replace my hoses every year, but like you say, with the new probes and everything coming out, you have to change out the gaskets. And I recently got this cool tool from Yellow Jacket where you could pick on one end and it keeps the gaskets in the other. So you could pick the old shredded gasket out and put the new gasket down in there. It was very nice.
Yeah, I have one of those. I tell you what, you better be careful. You'll be stabbing yourself in the finger, in the thumb. Have you done it yet?
It is sharp. Yeah, I can see how that could happen. It's very sharp.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times.
How much does that yellow jacket tool cost?
$9.99 at TrueTechTools.com.
Well, that's nice.
I don't know. I'm just
And while you're there,
I'm just joking about that.
You can use the Tool Pros offer code.
while you're there, use the Shop Talk.
Oh, awkward.
Yeah.
Use Get Schooled.
Everybody who listens to this podcast knows to use the Tool Pros podcast code. Tool Pros gives you 8% off at TrueTechTools.com. But guys, they don't sell yellow jackets, so they don't have that tool I was just talking about. Sorry.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I have it. I can't remember. It wasn't that much, Zach.
Dude, I go to Harbor Freight. There's a set of 4 of them for $1. They just don't hold the gaskets, so I keep the gaskets with my copper supplies. Spendthrift.
Billy and I were speaking of Harbor Freight last night, and I would have to say I don't believe I own a single tool from Harbor Freight. I just don't. I don't believe in buying some cheap stuff. Now, Zach, are you a frequent shopper of Harbor Freight?
No, I wouldn't call it frequent, but there's some stuff that I would buy at Harbor Freight, and I'd get some stuff for around the house from Harbor Freight. But I have a hammer drill, an SDS hammer drill that I've had since 2012. That's from Harbor Freight. It's nice.
What is it, like Chicago Electric or some brand like that?
It must be Chicago. It's the orange. So Chicago used to be orange. I know they have some new tools now that's supposed to compete with the other name brand tools, but I bought back when they were just the cheap orange tools.
The Tool Pros do not endorse the use of Harbor Freight hammer drills, just so you guys know.
You just do not like the Chinese VOCs when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I love those things. I try to find candles that have that same scent at the candle store. I go in there and say, can you make something that smells like Harbor Freight? And they said, you just need to burn a tire inside your house. And they said, okay.
Yeah, see, my wife won't go into Harbor Freight with me because of the smell.
Really?
It just stinks.
That's funny.
But Tractor Supply has the same smell to it, too.
It's the same Chinese man. Hey, they got some good stuff there. I bought tubing cutters there, and they lasted for like 6 years. Little black tubing cutters that cut from 1/8 to 7/8 copper. And they lasted for a long time.
I guess if you could interchange the blade, or if the blade lasted a long time, I guess they'd be okay.
I don't know. I never tried to interchange them. They just broke, and I just chucked them at a bird or something. I don't know.
I don't find those tubing cutters being much different than the Husky brand from Home Depot. The Husky ones, I think, are a lot cheaper made than even the ones from Harbor Freight, believe it or not.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I smell sponsorship.
Sponsored by Harbor Freight. I don't know. That'll be the day.
I enjoy going to Harbor Freight and just walking around and checking the stuff out. And I really enjoy the guys walking around with the little weekly ad, because there's always about 10 of them in there walking around looking at their weekly ad.
You know who else loves Harbor Freight on YouTube?
John.
John does. He loves it.
John HVAC or John M, man, he loves it. Go check him out on YouTube if you haven't, guys. It's John HVAC on YouTube, man. He loves him some Harbor Freight. He'll do some live videos and everything from there. He digs it.
Didn't he go into Tijuana one time? Harbor Freight in Tijuana?
I think it was Home Depot. He went to Mexico or Baja.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I assume he lives near that area?
Yeah, he's in Southern California.
Over there, Will.
He's a lot of fun.
Guys, I want to take a minute right here to thank Robinair. They are a great sponsor of this podcast, and without them, we wouldn't be able to make this possible. We thank them very much. And I just wanted to take a minute and highlight some of their new leak detectors they got coming out. They have 3 different models coming out, the LD3, the LD5, and the LD7. I'm excited for all these models because they all have really cool features. The LD3 is kind of a base model unit. It comes with a 2-year warranty. It's made right here in the USA. It's got a 17-inch probe. It's got a real short warm-up time. It works on all common refrigerants, R410A, R22, 134. Even works with R1234YF, which you find in cars nowadays. The sensitivity is down to 0.05 ounces a year. It's got a long life sensor, 10-year lifespan on the sensor, which is crazy and unheard of. Some of these others you got to change out yearly, biannual, stuff like that. This thing will last for 10 years. Seems very cool because I've heard of the infrared and the heated diode, but I haven't heard of this, and I'm excited to try it out and see what it's all about. They also have the LD5. The cool thing about the LD5 is it has a color graphic LCD display on it. So as you're searching for those unique refrigerants, this detectors will do them all. The LD7 has all the features that we've already talked about. Plus, it has a UV light for detecting injected dye. So that little UV flashlight that you got in your truck, you can throw that away if you buy a LD7 because you already have that built into your leak detector, which is awesome. And it also has a pinpoint graphing mode for displaying leak sizes over a time window. So like over a period of time, you can graph a leak size, which seems so awesome and so cool. I don't know that anybody else on the market can do that today. So guys, if these sound like some interesting features to you, go check out robinair.com. Great company, great people, great products. Go give them a chance. Let them know the Tool Pro sent you. Back to some HVAC tools. What about like some digital gauges, guys? Have you ever had them calibrated? Do you think every few years you should send them in to get calibrated by the factory? Like, what do you feel about that?
Gosh, I don't know if I've had a pair long enough to calibrate them. We switched around so much testing different stuff. I've had a few break. Like my Testo 550s broke. Of course, the hook fell off of them. That's not even anything new.
I think everybody's hook fell off of the 550s.
Yeah, I just set it on top of the unit.
I would just replace mine if something messed up. I'd never send them in.
I don't think I've ever got them repaired either. I've had S-Mans. I've had the Testos. I know there's more than that. I just can't remember. Other ones were Smart Probe style gauges.
Now, you never had the iManifold, right? You just had the iConnect?
I did have the iManifold, but I got rid of it. I did end up with the iConnect because I like the mobility part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like being part of my Zigbee mesh network.
I do have the iManifold right now, and I feel like it needs to be rebuilt. I feel like I have some kind of leak in the knobs or somewhere in there, and I feel like it needs to be rebuilt.
Now, is that the original iManifold?
Original. Yep, exactly. So it's probably, 5 years old now?
Yeah.
So at that point, I have a little bit of issues with it at 5 years. That's really not that bad.
No, that thing has the miles on it. It came from Savannah. It's been through 3 trucks.
I threw it off the roof. I sprayed it with the water hose, man. I did everything with that thing.
I was about to say, that's the beta test model, right?
Yep. Well, the one that was actually beta tested got sent back after the testing, but then they sent me this model. I've had it ever since.
Man, I don't like the manifold part of it. I like the iConnect part because I think if you have to sit there close to the unit still because of the Bluetooth, it defeats the purpose to me. I like to wander.
I agree.
With that same mindset, how do you feel about the Testo Smart Probes?
Well, I think they're great. I mean, as long as someone else is using them. I mean, they're perfect. I don't like the whole 15-foot thing. I had them for a while. I lost connection from like 10 foot away. So to me, that's kind of a failed experiment. I'd rather have something like maybe the Field Piece because they're so much better range, or the Pro R, but the Pro R doesn't have the airflow probe. So either Field Piece or iConnect.
Absolutely. The Field Piece or iConnect are what you need if you want a digital style gauge that gives you the wirelessness and the freedom to walk around, and you can go inside the business or home and check if it's a split system, check temperatures and all that stuff while still getting your readings from the outdoor unit. That's the way to go, hands down.
I agree.
So do you think Testo is going to add more range to?
Bluetooth 5.0 is going to change the way a lot of these tools work, because from what I've read about Bluetooth 5.0 is it's the new iPhone 10 or whatever, the iPhone X is coming out with the Bluetooth 5.0, and so some of these tools are going to start getting them and incorporating them. And with the 5.0, you can repeat the signal from what I understand, and it's also a lot longer range. So with Bluetooth being able to be repeated, I think that's going to change the game for everybody.
What does it mean it's going to be repeated? Like there's going to be something else part of the network that's going to route the signal?
Or extended, maybe. Repeated or extended. I think of it building from what I read, it's kind of building a mesh network like the Zigbee does.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Exactly. You can repeat it or you can extend it or whatever you need to do with it, but it's going to have a lot more flexibility to it coming up here shortly.
Man.
I've recently got a set of the Refco gauges, digital gauges, and I tell you what, I really starting to like them. They're nice because they have a digital readout on the little probe that you screw right there onto the service port. So I got a high side and low side service port, and it shows me the pressure reading right there along with the saturation, because you can change what refrigerant it is. And then you have the clamps that also tell you what your pipe temperature is. So if I don't want to pull out my phone and have the app open or anything like that, I can just glance down and see what I got right there without it. They're really nice. The interface on them is very cumbersome. It's not user-friendly at all. Let's just say the concept of them is very nice. Maybe somebody can take that concept and tweak it and make it a little better.
Maybe they can hook up with Measure Quick.
That would be what's up. Yes, absolutely. Measure Quick is great. I haven't heard a whole lot about Measure Quick lately. You heard any new developments with Measure Quick? Anything going on with it?
No, Bergman won't call me back.
Oh, you're out of the circle of trust.
Oh, man, that's terrible, Zach.
I blame Ralph.
Nope.
I'll make sure I remind him that when I have lunch with him next week.
Yeah, right. As if, I'd be like clueless, as if, Ralph, as if.
Yeah, no.
For you guys who don't know quite what Measure Quick is, you've been living under a rock or something. Measure Quick is the app for your phone for the HVAC world that works on certain HVAC tools. It works with some of the Testo Smart Probes. It also works with the iManifold, works with the BlueVac. Am I missing anything else there, guys?
Maybe with a combustion analyzer. Does it work with combustion analyzers yet?
Not yet that I'm aware of.
iManifold works with Bacharach, so therefore it would be kind of incorporated in there. I don't think it works by itself, though, with it. So
Right.
not yet, but I think a lot of stuff's going to be coming. So, guys, download the Measure Quick app if you haven't, because you can input all the data manually. So if you got indoor wet bulb and dry bulb, return and supply, you can input that, and you can get target exit temperature for your evaporator. You can get, through all that information, you can get BTU output, all kind of great stuff. EER ratings, SEER ratings, all that good stuff coming out of the Measure Quick app. So if you guys have not downloaded it and you're an HVAC guy, download it, check it out, play around with it. I think you'll really like it.
Hey, man, I got a question for you guys, the tool pros. I might have already asked you this.
Well, see, we're not the tool pros. We get you guys to come on because you guys are the pros.
Oh, my God, I feel sorry for you guys.
Retired pros.
No kidding.
You brought us?
We get different pros every week on to talk about it.
I have hand seamers built in the 50s. That's what I use.
That makes you a seasoned veteran.
Well, I like that. That's a really great spin on that.
That's it. So what's up? What's the question? I'm ready. Fire it at me.
The question is the combination of the Testo Smart Probes and Measure Quick a waste of time because of the range?
My opinion, yes.
I would agree.
All right. Well, I thought one of you was going to say no or something like, Zach, what the world? What's wrong with you?
I'm sure Brad Hicks is mad and throwing stuff at his radio right now, but I love you, Brad, and I know you're a proponent of the Testo Smart Probes. I can't dig them right now, unfortunately.
Until the range is longer.
You're exactly right. And I've been a fan of Testo products for a long time. I got a Testo 320 combustion analyzer. I had all the way back to the Testo 527's first generation digital gauges. Go Google those things, man. They look archaic now compared to what we have. But I had the first generation 527s and the second generation. I love some Testo stuff, but here lately, when they came out with the smart probes, I think they went a little bit too cheap, and they went to the other side of the spectrum than they were. They were the high dollar tools. Now they've kind of cheapened themselves up, and yeah, they've got more market share now, but it's just not what the quality that I expected to see out of them.
When I first got into the digital market and I had the Testo 550s with the Bluetooth, comparing that with the iManifolds, it was apples to apples. Everything was the same. It was Bluetooth range. That was what everything was geared towards. And then when I got my hands on the iConnect, and especially the newer iConnect with the extended range, you get spoiled real fast when you're able to go practically a quarter mile away and with a repeatable signal. That's just ridiculous. And seeing that field pieces now come in and the range that they're getting, I haven't had a lot of time to play with the field piece probes just yet. I played with them the other day and I liked them. But as far as the Testo Smart Probes, they've come out of my bag and they're sitting in my garage at this point.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So what about the iManifold then? If the iManifold has its own app that's relatively good, I know there's some debate about, since Jim left, is it still good or not? But I think it's still functional. If it has that app and it hooks up to a BlueVac, how about its relationship with Measure Quick? Because you can't use Testo because no range. The iManifold already has an app. Do you think Measure Quick needs to get some third party involved, sort of justify using it?
I don't know. As being heavily involved with the iConnect and the iManifold, I've been involved with it since the beta testing period, the whole 9 yards. I don't really see a big advantage to Measure Quick at this time with the iManifold. The app is still functional. It had some hiccups there for a while, and it was not acting correctly. But I think they've gotten all that ironed out since Jim left. Because Jim left it perfect, then it got a little wonky, and then now I think they've gotten back to square one. But when I pull up my iManifold or my iConnect, which I still do use occasionally, I pull up the iManifold app. I don't use the Measure Quick app. It doesn't even cross my mind to use that because it's basically getting the same info just on a different platter, I guess it would be. What do you think, Billy?
I agree. I've played with the Measure Quick app a bit, but since it's integrated with iManifold and everything is kind of become live, I haven't, because we were basically coming into the beginning of the heating season at that point, and we don't have a huge market up here for heat pumps. So I haven't really gotten a chance to really play with it, but I think I would kind of agree that unless they're going to blow it out of the water with the reporting features and things like that they can do, I don't see it right now. It's easy enough to just pull up the iManifold app and use that. And it's, like you said, they've worked out the kinks so far. Unless something goes screwy and it crashes or something, I think that'll be my go-to at this point. Unless Jim and his people over there at Measure Quick just come out with a new feature, which I don't know what it could possibly be. But if they come out with something new, I would definitely give it a try.
I'm waiting for them to put the pieces of the puzzle together where they put the scale involved in it. It's got the solenoid. You put all your probes on it and you tell the system, I want this thing to run at 12 degrees subcooling. And I want that thing to charge itself. Now, that is the feature that I want. I've been waiting for forever. I know it's kind of maybe a pipe dream. But to me, the technology's there. We can do it. We just got to put all the pieces together. I don't know if they made it, if there would be a market for guys out there to buy it too. But personally, I think there. What do you fellas think?
I think there would be a huge market for it, but I think you're opening the floodgates like you do with the whole Zoom lock and the dumbing down of everything. Not saying that I'm against it, because I'm definitely for your opinion and I agree with you. But I think that it's going to be a lot of backlash when it comes to people that feel that you're making it too easy for the homeowner to come in and just dial in a system. And, he can do his own and everything else. So
I really believe if you can make somebody's job easier, then do it.
I agree.
Here's what I got to say to those guys that, you're just dumbing down the trade and you're making it easy for the homeowner. And you know what? The homeowner's not going to go invest all this money for all these tools. You think they're going to invest, $1,200 on an iManifold or iConnect just so they can charge their system once a year? No. They need to get off that kick.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't get that. Why would you object to having your job made easier? I don't understand that. It must be insecurity. Is that it?
I don't know, Zach. I see it all the time in some of these Facebook groups and everything, just with the Zoom lock. All of us here are proponents of the Zoom lock, but you get into some of these Facebook groups, and for those of you guys who don't quite know what the Zoom lock is, the Zoom lock is basically it's copper press fittings for refrigeration piping. You think ProPress for refrigeration. I see these guys in some of these Facebook groups that'll just argue with you till the cows come home about how it's just dumbing down the trade and it's ruining everything, these innovations. And I just can't wrap my head around it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, what would be the problem with making the job easier? I really don't get that. Like all of a sudden it's going to require no skill to do anything in our trade because we have a Zoom lock?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
Like using Stay Bright. If you can't braze, then you don't know exactly what you're doing. So I don't get it.
I bring a lot more to the table than just a brazing skill. That's one of the 800 things that I bring to the table when I go to a service call at somebody's house. If I can shorten the length of time that it takes me to braze something up by using a Zoom lock, it's kind of a no-brainer. But like I say, just like with the iConnect and the scale and putting all the pieces together and letting it charge itself for you, if you can, why not, man? You could hook that thing up, let it start charging the equipment for you. You could be picking up the job site, or you could be doing the paperwork with the homeowner while this thing's getting the charge right. Who wouldn't want that?
I don't know. I'd rather be home watching TV.
Exactly.
No
Am I the
kidding.
only guy who likes to go home and hang out and have fun?
So apparently some of these guys want to spend all day on the job doing things like the hard way, doing things the way they did 20 years ago.
It's only because they don't like their wives.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
That might be true, man.
Well, fellas, is there any other tools or any other things that you do for the cooling season to get ready for it? Do you calibrate your scale? Do you check your multimeter with different functions? Do you do anything else to check for that? Or is that we pretty much covered everything?
I run my scale over with the truck.
We've seen the video.
Yep.
That's not calibrate.
I did use that scale the other day. Down in the training room, I had to add 12 ounces of Freon to the multi-zone.
You had to use
Freon?
410A,
$410A, fellas.
refrigerant.
You're the trainer, my ass.
For you guys that are anal.
Put some of that
about-
freeze on in it.
Yeah, that free zone.
Yep. So I had to add 12 ounces of 410A to the multi-zone, and I used that scale. And you can still see the tire treads.
Can you really? You can still see the marks on it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, that thing's pretty accurate. When he parked on that thing and he looked down to see what it read, it said truck.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, guys, go check that video out on Ralph's YouTube channel, TNN Services. He ran over one of the Inficon scales. It's Inficon Bluetooth wireless scale. He ran it over with his truck.
Yeah, but stay away from his newer videos. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'd suggest to stay away from that drama. Absolutely.
Hey.
We've been a good while now. I guess we can wrap it up here. We can close it there before we get into something ugly.
Brent senses danger.
Cancel.
Danger, danger,
Abort mission. Well, guys, I appreciate everybody who's hung out with us and who stayed around for this long. It's been a great episode. I like hanging out with Billy and Zack and Ralph. Anytime we can get together and just kind of shoot the hay, I love it, man. These guys are awesome guys. Go check out their podcast, which is HVAC Shop Talk. They discuss anything and everything HVAC. Really great podcast. So go check it out. Leave them a review too. Tell them that Brent told you to leave them a 4-star review, or maybe 3.
4? Come on, man.
But like I say, everybody, we appreciate you listening. Thank you guys so much. Download us on iTunes or Stitcher. Let us know how we're doing. Give us a review. We appreciate it. And we appreciate our sponsors, Robin Air and KC Tool. Thank you guys very much, and y'all have a great evening.
Thank you for listening to the Tool Pros Podcast. The best way to listen to this podcast is by using your smartphone or other web-connected device, and subscribing using the podcast app on Apple devices or the Stitcher app, or Google Store for Android devices. You can find all of the shows on the Blue Collar Roots Network by going to bluecollarroots.com. From all of us at Blue Collar Roots, thank you for listening.